This first of what I expect will probably be 3 vlogs for the holiday season. Oh, I really need to cut my bangs. I might have to cut them on camera. That'll be fun. We can add that to the activities list. This has been a tradition on my channel since I first started. I think the first year maybe I only forayed into vlogging at the holidays. No, I don't think I did. I think it was the second year. So the second year of my booktube channel, I started making these reading vlogs around the holidays. Life just sometimes leads you in different directions, or life just sometimes leads you. Life just So I like to cut my bangs. So I like, again, look, it's all fucked up. Why? Hi everyone, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. Especially if you're a new subscriber, I am so happy to have you here. Welcome. I think I have a few new subscribers. It was very kind of Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot to include me in a recent video that he did where he read books, I think favorite books or books that other booktubers recommended or love. I always feel really privileged whenever he features me in one of his videos because his channel is so fantastic and he's so smart and so thoughtful and does such fantastic reviews. And so yeah, it was very humbling for him to include me. So thanks for that, Scott. And if you're new to the channel, I just want to let you know that I sometimes have this annoying creature annoy me while I'm filming. His name is Granola. He's my dog. He's 3 years old. You will be introduced to him at some point if you carry on watching the vlog. He also makes noise off camera. I think right now he's chewing on a bone. So that's my little disclaimer. I don't script my videos either. So, you know, as Scott described to me, I'm a little chaotic. So if that's not your vibe, no need to stick around if you don't enjoy it. But I would be so happy if you did. My audience is a really lovely community and I really enjoy making these videos. Please stick around. If you do enjoy the content and you're not bothered by this background noise, I even have a mic to try to keep that to a minimum now. Yeah, please subscribe, please like. You can tell people about me. That would be fantastic. It really helps my channel to grow and it really encourages me to carry on filming and making new content for you all. So with that introduction to new subscribers, I also just want to take a moment to thank my regular subscribers for being with me for so long. I appreciate you all so much. So for this week's vlog, and I think I'll be doing, I'm going to be doing a vlog for the 3 weeks leading up to Christmas. Some of you will know that I participate every year in the Reindeer Readathon, and I'm participating again this year. I'm on Team Nutcracker, and I'm very competitive and quite determined to rack up points for my team. If you're interested, you can watch the video where I talked about all of the prompts for the Reindeer Readathon and my book choices for those prompts. To start off the Reindeer Readathon, the books that I'm planning to read, and it kind of has a theme. It's pretty fun. It's got an outer space. I've got an outer space theme going on. I'm going to start with these books. The first one, Orbital, which just won the Booker Prize, is not necessarily, I don't know if it's going to be one that I include for the Reindeer Readathon. It wasn't on my TBR, but it's the book that was the choice for my book club, and my book club meets tomorrow. So my book club meets in the first week of the month. This was our choice for, I guess, the month of December, because that's when we're having the meeting. And I'm about halfway through Orbital, and I will talk about it a little bit more as we get into this video. It's enchanted me from the start. It takes place on the International Space Station as it orbits the Earth. And it's very beautifully written. The writing, the quality of the writing has actually sort of a majestic quality. Samantha Harvey has been able to really write in a way that is expansive, in a way that you imagine it might feel like if you were in outer space, if that makes any sense. But I had some other insights so far into the book as I've been reading, and I'll talk about those as we get into the vlog because I already have a lot of things that I want to say. And then because we have our book club meeting tomorrow, I'll probably be finished. So this will be the first book that I update you on when I finish it. It is, I think, quite special. I'm not sure about it winning over James. The other books that I'm reading for this reading vlog are going to be The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. The prompt itself is to read something that you do not own, so something maybe that you've taken out of the library or that was given to you. And this is a borrowed copy from my daughter. She read this in her program for college and has been since encouraging me to read it because she really wants to know what I think of it. I have started it, and I must say it's wacky, it's zany. I know now why you need to have a towel at all times. But I'm curious to see how I'm going to like it. So far, I feel like it might be a little bit dated, but the fact that my daughter loved it definitely would suggest otherwise. So I don't know if it's just me not kind of connecting necessarily with all of the jokes, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it lands for me as I read through it and updating you on it as we experience it together in this vlog. And then I'm going to be reading Becky Chambers for the first time, and I couldn't be more excited because I've heard so many fantastic things. So many people who watch my channel have commented and said, you're going to love this one because it's been on a few TBRs over the past year. I've been trying to get to it for quite some time. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I'm so excited to start this one. This one, if I finish it, which I will satisfy the prompt for Blitzen. That one is one where they had a word search, and the first 4 words that you saw in the word search were ones from which you could choose that would be in the title of a book that you would then read for the prompt. One of the words that I saw in the word search was planet, so it worked out really well. I was very excited when that happened, and it wasn't by design, it just was by coincidence that word popped out to me. It must have been some kind of synchronicity. A lot of it will be reading and updating you on, am I enjoying these books? What are the thoughts that I'm having on these books? So I am just going to start by talking a little bit about what I've read so far and my thoughts on the first half of Orbital. This is the story of astronauts on one of the last space station missions before the program ended. And it takes place in outer space. In fact, she includes at the very opening of the book the actual orbiting of the Earth over this 24-hour period, which is the period of time that she's writing about. So, for example, I'm midway through, and each chapter has an indication of where we are in terms of our orbit. So the book is written in this way that it has this physical dimension of we're being taken along with the crew as it orbits the Earth. And just conceptually, it's a fantastic idea for a book. I think just that alone is such a wonderful way to think of, to construct a narrative. So I thought that was very impressive. I have to say that the writing is just beautiful. It's the way that she writes about their experience of being in space and seeing the Earth from above is pretty spectacular. She's very good at conveying that feeling of being so far removed physically from the world on which we live. Like, she just does this really, really well. I was really blown away by this. And the experience of what it's like to be in this very confined space, out in the atmosphere, and you have very limited activities during the day, and time has a different meaning. There's a lot of material here to incorporate into this narrative, and I think she's been doing it really, really well. The first passage I wanted to read to you, just to give you a sense of the writing and what I'm trying to describe, because it's not the easiest thing to describe. From the space station's distance, mankind is a creature that comes out only at night. Mankind is the light of cities and the illuminated filament of roads. By day, it's gone. It hides in plain sight. On this orbit, orbit 2 of today's 16, they can watch if ever they have such a stretch of time and traverse the Earth one whole round and see barely a trace of human or animal life. Their transit approaches West Africa just as morning breaks. The vast spill of day blots out every obvious human landmark to the naked eye. They pass Central Africa, the Caucasus and Caspian Sea, southern Russia, Mongolia, eastern China, the north of Japan in the blanching light. By the time night comes, in the western Pacific, there's no land in sight, no cities to proclaim mankind. On this orbit, the entire night pass is oceanic and black, stealing down the mid-Pacific between New Zealand and South America, brushing the tip of Patagonia and back up to Africa. And just as the ocean runs out and the coasts of Liberia and Ghana and Sierra Leone creep up, sunrise blasts open the dark and daytime floods in, the entire northern hemisphere once again luminous and humanless. Seas, lakes, plains, deserts, mountains, estuaries, deltas, forests, and ice flows. So one of the first things that I really got from what she's doing with this little book is to help us to appreciate the wonder of the earth and the wonder of the universe. She does that in such a beautiful way, but she does so while also reminding us that we have no respect for our earth. And she talks about that among other things about human beings and human behavior. That is really the central theme of the story, at least from what I'm getting out of it so far. The question of human intelligence, human beings, creativity, what we create, and that the things that we can create, although they can be wonderful and amazing, so for example, the ability to travel into space, can also be horrifying. And the example of that, of course, is an atom bomb, which she talks about. Can humans not find peace with one another, with the earth? It's not a fond wish, but a fretful demand. Can we not stop tyrannizing and destroying and ransacking and squandering this one thing on which our lives depend? I've marked a couple of other things that contribute to this dialogue and conversation about what it means to have a human life and make meaning out of your human life, and what are we doing in terms of our existence. It's a big book with big ideas, and I want to talk about all of those ideas, but I don't want to talk about them all in the introduction. So I think I'll just leave it there for now, and then I'll give you another update about some of the ideas I've been thinking about, and probably at the end of the book as well, talk a little bit about where I land with it. I can understand why it won the Booker Prize, and I can understand why so many people love it already, and I'm only halfway through. I'm going to be really curious to see what people from my book club have to say about it as well, and I will definitely report back on that. Other things that I'm going to include in the vlog are some holiday events. I am going to a Christmas trimming party. Hopefully my friend won't have any problem with me vlogging. I always have to ask my friends if they're okay with it. So I might vlog that. I also had so much fun making an advent calendar. I actually filmed a whole video about this if you're curious about planner videos. I'm not really trying to branch out. It's just something that I've been enjoying doing. But this is what my advent calendar looks like. It's super cute. And then I picked a few of the activities that are on the advent calendar for the first week of December that I think would be fun to do and include in the vlog. And among those are going to the library to choose out a holiday themed book. I think that would be a really fun time. I really want to take you to the Berks Library, which is a library on McGill campus that I didn't make it to for the college reading vlog, which I just posted. I just didn't want to go when the students were there studying and invade their space, but I think by next week it'll be a little bit more open and liberated, and it won't be so weird for me to be vlogging there. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the Berks Library for this week's vlog or the following week's vlog, but that's a possibility. Another fun activity that I had in my advent calendar for this week is to do a Christmas puzzle. So I'm definitely thinking about pulling out the Christmas puzzle, make a holiday drink. So the very first day in the advent calendar, I opened it and it said make a holiday drink, and I said, oh, that's what I'm going to do, but I never ended up doing it. So I think I might do that in this week's vlog. Research a really fun holiday drink. We've got to go order the turkey. And we're going to figure it out as we go along. If you've been around my channel for very long and you've watched any of my vlogs, you know that my style is really to kind of go with the flow, because life just sometimes leads you in unexpected directions, right? So we'll see. Welcome to the vlog. Stay tuned. There's so much to come. I'm really happy to have you here, and I will see you shortly. Morning. It's a couple days later. I had my book club meeting about Orbital. I will update you in just a moment. I also, hi Granola. Hi buddy. So I went to a trimming party last night and I had such a nice time with friends that really are close friends that I've been friends with for just really such a long time now. They're like extended family. We've all been through a lot over the last few years in our own ways, and it was just lovely to all come together. It was very touching because yesterday was December 6th, which is a really dark day in it's a really dark day in, I didn't know I was going to talk about this. The day that a young man walked into the École Polytechnique in Montreal and opened fire in a classroom where he separated the men from the women, and he shot women students in this engineering school. It's a very dark day in our history, and I think it was poignant. And one of my friends pointed this out after. She pointed out that she often posts about these women to commemorate the event and to raise awareness, but that she also enjoyed spending some time with some of her closest friends, and that we are all, I didn't know I was going to get all choked up. I get choked up every time I vlog, and that we are all such strong women, and it was just a really touching thing for her to recognize, and it was quite hopeful. I want to just take a moment in the vlog. Sorry guys, this is a little heavy. I didn't know that I was going to be talking about this, but you know, we live our lives. As I said at the beginning, I never know where a vlog is going to take me, and sometimes it takes me to serious places. So I just wanted to raise some awareness about this event and remind myself, really, we need to do more than just commemorate. We really need to continue to fight for the rights of women and girls. The books that I'm reading don't deal at all with any of these kind of topics, although over the course of the years on my channel, I've definitely read books that address a lot of women's issues in there are very feminist. You can look to the last vlog that I did, which includes The Boarding School Girl, which is a very feminist book that was written in Russia at the end of the 1800s. I just wanted to acknowledge that we have so much more work to do and that we need to collectively remember these women and that massacre so that it never, ever, ever happens again. So in Canada, December 6th is actually the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. And I'm going to leave in the description box below several different organizations where I much prefer, if you were ever thinking about making a donation to my channel, which I always include that Buy Me a Coffee link, I would much prefer that you, if you felt moved at this time of the year, to make a donation to one of those, to make a donation to one of those organizations. I also just had like a really wonderful time with these women. It's tree trimming that we've done pretty much every year, but we've had to skip a couple of years, so it was really nice to reconnect. These are women that I also see fairly regularly, but it was just a really lovely evening, and I got the most wonderful gift from my friend whose home we were in, whose footage you just saw was of her home, and she gave me this wonderful book ornament for my tree. She's just such a kind and considerate person, and yeah, I just appreciate my friends so, so much. Back to everyday minutia, I really need to cut my bangs. So I think because I have there are quite a few Christmas parties for some reason this weekend. So this seems to be the social weekend for vlogging. So I'm going to another party this evening, and I really think I would like to be able to see people. I would like them to see me. They're not that long, but I'm gonna trim my bangs. I might do that on camera. So my book club met, we're now Friday? No, Saturday. My book club met on Thursday, and can I just say, like, okay, Orbital, let's discuss. My book club was mixed. Okay, I would say they were mixed. There was quite a bit of negativity at first when we first started out the discussion, but because I really liked the book and there were things that I really appreciated about the book, and there were a couple of other people who I think also appreciated some things about the book, we were able to kind of come around to more of a mixed bag reaction. One of the women in my book club said that she was so bored she fell asleep. A lot of people kind of complained about how different interactions between the characters were presented and then they didn't go anywhere. Because we're with this crew, this 6-person crew of astronauts, we don't really get to have that much of a story about their lives. One of the characters we do find out a little bit more about because she's in a situation where her mother passes away while they're in space, and so she grieves a bit. I mean, there's a bit of writing about her grieving her mother in space, but that's pretty much it. There really isn't a lot of character development, there's not a lot of character work, and there's virtually no plot. So this is just not going to be a book that very many people like. And I realized that a lot of people were really unhappy with this winning the Booker Prize and even being longlisted for the Booker Prize. All of that being said, I really enjoyed this book, and as I mentioned in the opening, I think that Samantha Harvey was able to, it's almost like a love letter to the earth, but she does it skillfully in the sense that you feel as if you are in that, you are in outer space with the astronauts looking down at the earth, or alternatively, you are like what we try to simulate here in the world of experiences of being in space, when you go to a science museum, for example. But she's able to do that with language and with her writing, and I think that that is commendable. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is a deeper theme of the book, which I did touch on in the opener, which I wanted to just talk about more here, is the idea that she presents that I think is so, so interesting and important. The question of human progress. And is it a good or a bad thing? So just about through the middle part of the book, starting on page 76, one of the astronauts, Pietro, he's eating a batch of macaroni and cheese, this man-made macaroni and cheese to be eaten in space. And that starts off a memory that he has about a conversation with his daughter. In the galley, Pietro eats his lunch of macaroni and cheese. Well, they call it macaroni and cheese. Before he left Earth, his teenage daughter had asked him, "Do you think progress is beautiful?" "Yes, yes," he'd said, not having to think. "So beautiful, my God. What about the atom bomb? And what is it? These fake stars they're going to put up into space in the shape of company logos, and the buildings that they're going to print on the moon out of its surface dust? Do we want buildings on the moon?" she said. "I love the moon as it is," she said. "Yes, yes," he'd answered, "me too. But all those things are beautiful, because their beauty doesn't come from their goodness. You didn't ask if progress is good, and a person is not beautiful because they're good. They're beautiful because they're alive, like a child. Alive and curious and restless, never mind good. They're beautiful because there's a light in their eyes, sometimes destructive, sometimes hurtful, sometimes selfish, but beautiful because alive. And progress is like that, by its nature, alive." Agree or disagree, it's the point that she is bringing up. And I think it's an interesting one that we don't see all that often. And the context makes a whole lot of sense because there they are up in space. And then she very quickly, about 10 pages further along, moves into the story of Chi. Chi is the character whose mother is on Earth and dies while she is up in space. She's thinking about her mother's death, and she's thinking about the importance of her life and making her life be a valuable life, because her life was spared, or her existence was spared, because she survived and other of her family members did not survive the nuclear bomb that fell on Nagasaki. So there she does bring in the atomic bomb in the context of this notion of progress being destructive or being good or being bad. So she wants to make something really big of her life. She wants her life to have meaning, because she sees herself as it's described, shuffled sideways through the crack of fate, and that her life could be something that is very meaningful. This is what makes her choose to become an astronaut. So when the bomb was dropped, we find out how she was able to shuffle sideways through the cracks of fate, because on the day of the bomb, her grandfather was unwell and sick from work, and he was left with the baby while her grandmother went to the market. This is how her mother survived, and therefore how she also came to be, because of her mother surviving. And her mother is this character who she really looks up to, who she attributes to having given her her resilience and giving and encouraging her to become an astronaut. That is a very personal experience related to this idea of progress. And so she's an astronaut, and she's decided to contribute to the world in this very meaningful way and very risky way, which is the other thing, because they continue to harken back to the Challenger disaster and the risks of space travel. And you feel that feeling of the risk as well in terms of, there's a scene, for example, where she's outside of I don't know if it's her or one of the other astronauts, but she's outside of the space station, and you can feel the danger and the risk involved. So she's looking at this photograph of her mother on the day of the moon landing, and she's reflecting on this notion of her being an astronaut and this concept of progress and her mom's influence on her. And she's trying to think about what her mom's expression is saying in this photograph. She wonders, is it saying, "Look at these men going to the moon. Be afraid, my child, at what humans can do"? Because we know, don't we, what it all means? We know the fanfare and glory of the pioneering human spirit. And we know the wonder of splitting the atom. And we know what these advances can do. Your grandmother knew it only too well when she stepped off the pavement to a sound she didn't recognize, and a flash that seemed both distant and so close it might have happened inside her own head. And in her bewilderment came a kernel of knowledge that this might be it. A knowledge that gave rise instantly to a vision of me, her first and only child, which was the last vision she ever experienced. So I am saying to you, Chi, my first child, my first and only child, that you might regard and wonder these men walking on the moon, but you must never forget the price humanity pays for its moments of glory, because humanity doesn't know when to stop. It doesn't know when to call it a day. So be wary is what I mean. Though I say nothing, be wary. So I think that what Samantha Harvey's message is, aside from this love letter to the universe, is that we must be careful about the tools. We must be careful about our endeavors as human beings, and we must try to consider the impacts of what it is that we're choosing to use our creativity and our innovation and our abilities for in the world. I mean, that's what I took from it. I'm speaking very passionately about it. I'm sure I'm injecting my own values and my own point of view here, but I can't escape the words that she's written. And I think that it's a very important, sort of a very important, thoughtful, philosophical book. And it is absolutely not for everyone, but it is absolutely the kind of book that you would think would be on a prize, a prize for literature long list, and a winner. I can see why this book won. I enjoyed it. I got a little annoyed at the repetition. One of the other things that people in the book club did complain about was the repetition, because there's a lot of repetition of this descriptive writing about the earth. But I think that that is really meant to emphasize the cycle, and also to emphasize that when they're up there in space, they don't really have, first of all, they have access to this beauty, but they also have nothing else. And it signifies that there's nothing else that really matters, ultimately. It's a pretty impactful book. I was surprised. I didn't think that I was going to get as much out of it as I did. And I'm sorry that it's gotten so much hate. I feel like I understand why, but I also think that this book has a lot of merit. Okay, and then just to say that I started The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet earlier. I'm not very far in. We're just being introduced to the main character, Rosemary, who has just been sent up to the ship where she has a new job as an administrator, and she's just met the various different crew members on the ship upon her arrival, and she's being shown around. The ship is called the Wayfarer, and it's described as like a quilt. It's all patched together. It's not a very sophisticated vessel. And what this ship does is that I think they're doing something called tunneling, which I actually don't quite know what it is. I guess it's moving from one either galaxy or planet to the other. I don't know if it's meant to be like a delivery system. I'm still trying to get my bearings. And the characters on the ship are all from different, they're from different planets and systems and galaxy systems. There's one who's from a solar system. There's one from Mars. There are all these different types of characters that are different from one another. And so it definitely is a very sci-fi vibe. That's really as far as that I've gotten in it, really not very far. Hopefully I'll get quite a bit further in this book today and be able to give an update tomorrow. But first, let's go cut my bangs. Okay, so I know that this looks rather precarious for cutting bangs, but I'm actually in my front hallway, which is where the lighting is really good. And I have a towel down on the counter, so not to worry. Well, let me just go get my scissors so I can snip, snip, snip. I'm not going to use the viewfinder because I'm not going to use the viewfinder. I'm going to be looking in a mirror over here. So I don't know what the angle is going to be like. We'll see. They've been long. They've been long, long, long. Okay. So I like to cut my bangs dry. I don't I don't cut them when they're wet. I think that's understood. For anyone who cuts their own bangs, I think that's understood. So usually I'll just go straight across. Oh, I think I already made it crooked. Yay! Crooked bangs. Yeah. I can see just from looking. Okay. Okay. So that looks pretty good. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Reminds me of when I was a kid, my mom used to cut my bangs. Once she cut the scissor right into my forehead. So yeah, they're a little crooked. Still deal, we can still live with this, right? It's not too short. It's just a trim. I like these little wispy guys on the sides, so I'm gonna get rid of those. Really don't like those. Alright. Okay, and then a little funny part in the middle. This is what I do. I just kind of go through. You have to be really careful with the touch-up because when you're doing the touch-up, you don't want to go too short. And you can continue to just touch up, and they just get shorter and shorter. And that's not good. Okay. Hair on my face. Yeah, let's see. How are we doing? Can't see anything without my glasses. Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Definitely not so much in my face. But now I want to kind of give them a little bit more. So now I just want to give them a little bit more dimension. So I'm just going to do this thing where we... This is just something that I learned on YouTube. There's plenty of hair cutting tutorials, bang cutting tutorials on YouTube. So you just cut, kind of just cut into the bang. Opposed to cutting across the way I just did, I just cut across. We're going to cut up. That's the technique. Maybe I'll do them in 2 sections because I have a pretty broad forehead, I guess. Anyone out there who wants to cut their own bangs, this is the technique that I learned on YouTube. There we go. So I think that looks pretty good. Because I don't think you want them to be like too, you know, straight across. You don't want to have any too big long pieces in the front, but you don't want to also have too many short pieces either. So it's a little blunt, but I'm okay with it. I'm pretty good with this, I think. I'm not going to carry on cutting and trying to fix it up, because if I carry on cutting and trying to fix it up, it's just going to get shorter and shorter and shorter, and that is not, my friends, what we want. We want a good, clean, want it to be just around the brow, or at least that's what I like. And then I just, you know, they have a good shape. I can trim them when needed. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. I think that's pretty good. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. You're like, oh, Jessica, it's very crooked. It looks weird. This is maybe a little bit long. Okay, I'm gonna stop fussing and leave it. I'm gonna stop fussing and leave it there. That was my bang cutting. That was the first time I ever cut my hair on camera. I'm just gonna try to brush off all the hair that's on my face. But yeah, I think that's good. I think that looks good. You can let me know. I think that's pretty good. I'll show you guys the outfit. I'll show you guys my outfit when I get ready for the party, and talk to you soon. I'm just showing you my outfit as best I can. It's super echoey in here. Anyway, I'm wearing sparkles. Having a nice time. It's a really fun party.
Open
Hola! Hi! I am just popping on here to give a reading update because it's a couple days later and I'm getting close to needing to finish off this vlog so I can start another one. Boy, these weeks go by quickly when you're leading up to the holidays. I had a lovely time at my friend's party. I've done some more reading. I would say I'm about a third of the way into The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and it is taking me a little while to get into this one, to get to know all of the different characters on the Wayfarer. And the plot is taking a little bit of time to develop, which is fine. It's okay. It's giving me the vibe and the feel of Star Wars. They've just gone to this market to go shopping, so they've done this expedition, which I'm trying to kind of understand the physics of. Like, she does explain the physics of the way that it's called to punch through. Anyway, I'm trying to follow along with some of the more scientific aspects of this book, which is quite outside of my comfort zone. That part, sometimes my eyes kind of gloss over, my brain fogs over. But other than that, there's quite a bit of liveliness to the characters, this multi-species crew on this ship. And I'm starting to get to know the characters, get more familiar with them, and we're getting little elements of the plot. We know that our main character, Rosemary, has taken on this job on the Wayfarer, and we know that she's left something behind in her past. Because at one point, I can't remember which character, but one of the characters is asked to gather more information about her, and she's quite secretive about what she will reveal about her past. So I'm expecting that'll be fun as that gets revealed. And then the Wayfarer, the ship itself, has taken on a really important contract that is going to pay them a lot of money, but that is going to be quite dangerous because it involves, I don't know, there's aspects to this that are political that I'm also trying to follow along with, which I'm sure will become clearer as I get further into the plot. There's also some cute interracial or interspecies relationships being explored. In particular, one of the characters, Jenks, is in love with an AI, and while they're in this market, trying to find a body form for this AI, which carries with it a lot of risk. The captain of the ship, his name is Ashby, is in love with a woman, or I don't know if they're in love, but they hook up all the time with another character who is fighting in this war, which I'm still trying to sort out who's at war with who and what is the geopolitical situation in outer space in this book. But so far, even though it's a little bit technical at times, I'm starting to get into it. So I would say, yeah, it takes a little while to get into this one. I'm hoping that I'm going to finish it, but I might not be able to finish it for the vlog. And then it's kind of weird to be reading science fiction books more than one at a time, because you have these two, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which I just spoke about. And then I just spoke about Orbital, and Orbital is a real life, I mean, it's fictional, but it's a real life space experience, and these two are completely sci-fi fiction. So it's kind of a weird experience to be reading these three all at the same time. And there's so much lingo that goes into sci-fi, and especially sci-fi that takes place, well, in outer space. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy so far has been entertaining. I'm not getting all of the humor, or all of the humor isn't a type of humor that I find particularly hilarious. Like a lot of the parts where my daughter seems to have been laughing out loud. She writes LOLs she'll write ha 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 ha. I'll just give you an example. So yeah, all the places where my daughter has written like ha 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 ha, I'm not finding quite as hilarious as I think she did when she was reading this, which is a really interesting thing to notice, and I'm looking forward to talking to her about our differences in humor. But it is really a good I don't know, I'm starting to get into it. I think it's really cool that The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is essentially the internet. I didn't know that that was what it was before I started reading. So I think that's very prescient because, yeah, because it was originally written at the end of the 70s. So I think there were inklings of the internet at that point. My daughter thinks that's super revolutionary because, well, she's in the generation that she is, so she doesn't remember that that was an idea that was around at that time. I should probably research and see what did we know about the internet in 1979. Yeah, so far I've gotten about halfway through the book. It's a short book, so I'm hoping to finish it for the vlog. I don't know. I have to finish the vlog today, so we shall see. So far our protagonist Arthur has been facing the destruction of his home, but in the end, what it turns out to be is the destruction of Earth. So, but we don't know that at the beginning. I was a little disoriented at the beginning. The idea is that his home was being destructed because they're building a bypass from, I think, one galaxy to the other. Then he meets an alien friend, Ford Prefect, who gives him The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because he declares that he will need it. It's an electronic book. And his alien friend actually saves Arthur because they hitch a ride on a spaceship just before the Earth is vaporized by the alien Vogons. Vogons? I think I'm saying it right. I'm not listening to the audiobook, so I don't know how to pronounce all of these strange alien names. So now we're in a situation where Arthur is really trying not to panic and is on what is going to be an adventure through the universe. So the Vogons are a species that they are hiding and they get discovered by Vogon, and then he punishes them with his poetry, which my daughter wrote was very hilarious. I was a little confused by that. I mean, it was funny, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of silly. I think this book is quite silly. They are set to be ejected into space, which means that they're going to die. But then all of a sudden they're rescued by a spaceship that was just passing by. So that's really at the point where I am in the book. I'm going to finish it because it's light and got some interesting kind of commentary on human beings, and it's obviously satire. I'm hoping to finish it also for the vlog, but I may end up finishing it off camera just because I need to edit the vlog and post it and start a new vlog. So yeah, these two, we'll see if I finish them. And then in terms of some more festive activities, I did get all of the ingredients to make my special rum drink. I can't decide whether I want to make it this week or next week. I kind of imbibed a little bit too much on the weekend and my stomach isn't feeling great. I'm actually considering quitting drinking altogether because it actually isn't great for my stomach. So although it's kind of a fun thing to do, it's not, I don't know if I'm going to end up doing it. I'll still leave the recipe linked below, and you know, if anyone wants to try it out. One of the other activities that I thought about doing is a Christmas puzzle, so I might start a Christmas puzzle this evening. I have to go off to work, so that's why this is just a brief update. I'll probably do one more update to end off the vlog when I get home from work, probably under artificial lighting because it is a dark day. We got a bit of snow, which is really nice, but it's supposed to rain. So I'm expecting it to get really gray and really dark later today. So I won't have this kind of beautiful light that I have right now. I'm definitely having more fun with these two. They're much lighter than what I've been reading of late, and it's a nice reprieve. So I will see you a little later today. Bye for now. gone from partying to puzzling in this vlog. That's the state of mind I'm in now. And I have read more this afternoon of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It is very funny. I'm starting to really get into the humor of it. We have encountered Zaphod Beeblebrox. What a name, huh? He is the president of the galaxy. He has like no power. His role is to distract people from the people who are wielding power. At least that's how he's introduced in this part of the book. I'm probably like 50 pages to the end now, and I think I probably end up finishing it tonight or tomorrow. Another human also, and also Zaphod was at the party. He recognizes Zaphod, who gate crashed this party back on Earth that he went to, that he talks about in the beginning of the book in Islington. So he says, he gate crashed a party, said Arthur, trembling with anger, a fancy dress party. And then he goes on to say that he was talking up this beautiful and charming woman, and that Zaphod, this alien president of the galaxy guy, comes along and says, "Hey doll, is this guy boring you? Why don't you talk to me instead? I'm from a different planet." and then Arthur never saw her again. This is a really silly book. And then like a few minutes later, this woman that has this name Trillian on this ship is actually a woman named Trisha McMillan, because Arthur recognizes her and he's like, "What are you doing here?" Infinity -1, chattered the computer. Improbability sum now complete. So there's this improbability like computer on the ship there, and I think Zaphod is responsible for bringing Trillian onto this ship, which is called Heart of Gold. And this Zaphod character is really bizarre and has kind of a strange sense of humor, and he's very absurd, which is kind of fun. I'm getting to enjoy his character a lot. And he has this huge ego. And yeah, I think it's like a parody of people who are, their roles are meaningless, but they're very narcissistic. But I think that this improbability machine or improbability calculator is referring to the randomness, like the randomness of things happening, because a lot of the things that have happened so far in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has been really random. Like they randomly got picked up by a ship and they randomly got saved. And anyway, so it seems like it's kind of absurd, but it's also playing on this idea about the randomness of the universe. I'm trying to make sense of some of what I'm reading, even though it's pretty out there. But yeah, so Zaphod has like 2 heads as well, and he's like 3 arms or something. It's a very, very odd character. And Zaphod is, so where I'm at in the book, he is on this mission. I'm just at this point in the book where he's on this mission to find this legendary planet called Magrathea. And then we get one of the narrative tools that is used, we get these computer reads generated by the electronic book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And so we get this electronic read, pulls up the description of Magrathea. This place, we don't know if it's a real place, but I think at the end it does say it's actually a real place, but it's kind of like a mythical place, or at least that's how it's described initially. And apparently it's like, let me just find it. Far back in the mists of ancient time, in the great and glorious days of the former galactic empire, life was wild, rich, and largely tax-free. Mighty starships plied their way between exotic suns, seeking adventure and reward amongst the furthest reaches of galactic space. In those days, spirits were brave, the stakes were high, men were real men, women were real women, and small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri were real small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri. And all dared to brave unknown terrors, to do mighty deeds, to boldly split infinitives that no man had split before, and thus was the empire forged. Many of these men became extremely rich, and then it says, and thus were created the conditions for a staggering new form of specialist industry, custom-made luxury planet building. The place was like a hub. It says, But so successful was this venture that Magrathea itself soon became the richest planet of all time, and the rest of the galaxy was reduced to abject poverty. Because Magrathea was the place where they built planets. Gold planets, platinum planets, soft rubber planets with lots of earthquakes, all lovingly made to meet the exacting standards that the galaxy's richest men naturally came to expect. And then it says that Magrathea itself disappeared, and its memory soon passed into the obscurity of legend. So Zaphod wants to find this place, Magrathea. He thinks that if he discovers the planet, then he's going to, you know, cement his reputation in the galaxy. So anyway, that's where I am in the book. I guess now we're going to find out if we find this place and maybe more. I'm not sure. Like I said, I have, I don't know, I think I'm like 2/3 of the way finished. So thoroughly enjoying it. I haven't been able to get back to the Becky Chambers book today because I had to be at work. So yeah, I've had kind of a busy week socially, and I'm going to take a pause for one day and then I'm going to start the next vlog. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for tagging along with me. I am for sure going to finish these books and we'll include them in a wrap-up at the end of the month. And I owe you a wrap-up for last month, which is going to be coming in the next week as well. I just have to get my marking done, and then I can move on to filming more videos for you. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
It's a cold night, baby, and I'm on my way to you. And the snow keeps falling down.
It's already sort of done. You know when you take the puzzle out of the box, it's got little chunks in it that are already done? So you have to take the puzzle apart. You have to take the puzzle apart to start the puzzle. Like, what? Guys, when you put the puzzle back in the box.
It's just me and you tonight.
So with that introduction aside, for the new, with that introduction, oh my god, what the fuck are you chewing? A fucking bottle.
This December will be the
So with that
best,
introduction,
sure.
to new, I have to take the bottle away. This is because you have these two, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
So hold me now, it's Christmas time. Bring joy to people.
And in the description box below,
this
I'm going to leave some resources if you feel so.
In this way we make the world go round.
You make a donation to one of those organizations.
In December, I just let the peace take over. That is what I want.